All right, we're officially in the 2025 season. We're gonna get started on training our Morel dogs. We get started early on training these dogs, so when April, May hits, we're ready to hit the road. But my first thing I do with them is I get them to love that smell of the Morel. I have a Morel in this tin right here. We're gonna put it in this box, and when the dog puts his nose on it, I'm gonna feed him. So basic idea is he smells the Morel, he gets paid. He smells the Morel, he gets paid. And we will continue that a bunch. Because in the end, when he smells the Morel, we want him to know to go to it so he can get paid, all right? So here it is, we'll drop in just so you know we've already done this training once, or actually we've done it a few times. So he's kind of got the idea, but here we go. Drop the Morel in, he puts his nose on. When he holds his nose on that tin, I toss food in. I want his nose right on the tin, not his feet. Makes it tough when he puts his whole body in there, but we'll work around it. Now, he hit it with his foot and then he sniffed. If that starts to become a habit, we will not pay for that. So he's doing, there it is. Now, he's there, he found it. When he puts his nose on, yes! I'm gonna pull him out and do a jackpot reward a couple times because of that whole foot thing. If he puts his foot on it first, see how he thinks his foot in the, yes! The foot in the tin, or the foot in the box is part of how he gets paid. We don't want that. Just the nose on the tin. Yes. And so for a few times, we're going to give him a bigger jackpot reward for doing it. Just show him, hey, this is what we really like. We don't like the foot. And he only gets paid with his nose on it. Yes. So now I did a few of those. Now we're going to go back. Remember, when you're running into issues, you just got to troubleshoot it, figure out the best way to work around it. Oops. That was a little off on my part. So now he's wanting this there. Nope, that ain't gonna work. There it is. So anyways, we're gonna continue, yes, continue this. But when I end the training, I mark it with yes, feed him outside the box and pull the tin out. Because anytime he puts his nose in the box with the tin in there, I wanna make sure I'm paying. So we'll end this session and we'll move on to the next thing. For our Morel dog training today, we are using scent tubes. I have Morel mushrooms in this one. The other ones I have hot dogs, rubber gloves, and dog food. We have used rubber gloves in our training, so I want to make sure they're not hitting on that. Eventually we'll have one that just has my scent on it to make sure they're not hitting on that. So we just proof everything and show them that the only thing that pays is the Morel mushrooms. That's the idea of this training. But at the same time, we're still getting them to love the smell of it. That's the whole idea of the Morel dogs, is get them to love the smell and then show them what we want when they find the smell. And just put it all together. But anyways, we'll get started on this training today. And ready, babe? When he puts his nose on it, I mark and reward. He has to hold his nose on it. There we go. Now, come out here a little bit. Now, normally I would have a helper move these around every once in a while. So like now they would move them. So it's not in the exact same spot, because with labs, he'll mark it and he'll just go to the same spot every single time. But I don't have my helper with me today, so we did what we could do. We wanted to get the training on in, and I wanted to get a video of it while I was doing this. So we'll work with what we got. And with this being early on in his training with scent tubes, if I don't wait too long before I mark and reward, especially if he's struggling a little bit. All right, this will be the end of it. We're gonna put it up. Today we're gonna get started on the scent wheel for the Morel dogs. Remember, we train early, get these dogs going on these Morels. So when the season comes in, we'll be ready. What we have is our scent wheel. The idea of this is showing that the only scent that pays is the Morel mushrooms. We have rubber gloves, dog food, hot dogs. Number one actually just has human scent, has my scent on it. So we know he's not hitting on that. He's just hitting on the Morel scent. So we're gonna get started. How this works, that when he hits on this, I mark with a clicker and he comes to me to get his reward. And then the idea of the scent wheel, what's really nice about it is I don't need a helper for this. I can just spin it when I'm feeding him, and then the scent moves. So we'll bring it back around here to me and we'll get started. So when I first start this, it is literally, he watches me put it down, he sniffs it, I mark, and then pay him. So if you've gotten him, the dog to like or to love that smell through all the other trainings we've did before this one, they will get this really quick. Now this is the very first time he's done the scent wheel. So I am gonna do a lot of marking and rewarding without that scent moving. And when I do move it, I'm just gonna move it a little bit, just one spot. And see, because he don't understand the game yet, he was a little confused, and when he got to that, as soon as his nose hit that, I marked. I didn't give him a chance to stay on it or anything like that. I just want to show him, yep, that's it. Come get your reward. Because we want him to start hunting, actively hunting and searching for this. So I'm going to move it again, just a little bit. We'll see how he does. And you'll see as we start training him, when this scent wheel comes out, he'll start actively hunting. He'll start understanding the pictures. And that's the idea. But with this, we just be patient and let him work. And if he checks out too bad, we'll know that we move too fast and we'll slow down. Because I want him to keep hunting, keep trying. So I'm gonna help him out a little bit by moving forward. Remember, this is where it was at before. And he's like, this is where it was at. But those aren't the scents that pay. Okay. He caught some wind of it there when he went by it. So then he was able to go back to it, so. And we will just continue to move this around the table, move it around, so he learns to hunt for it. And this is typical for all the dogs that I train of how this works. The first time they do it, they're confused about what's going on. We really have to help them as much as possible. As much as needed, but as little as possible. And eventually we'll ask him to hold his nose on there longer. So today's training, he's about out of kibble, so we're only gonna do one more time and then we're gonna call it quits. And this time, I start letting him feed, I throw it on the floor, give me time to go get it out of the wheel, and that's it, that's the training. So we moved on to the glass jar now. The glass jar is, what I do is I put a fake Morel in there with a real Morel. also in there for the scent. So I got looks like a Morel, smells like a Morel, but they can't get to it. We're not ready for him to actually put his mouth on this yet because we don't want him putting his mouth on. So we're teaching him. He sees it, he smells it, and he gets rewarded. And then, of course, this will get him, prepare him for when it's time to start indicating on them. That's what this is. This is after we've done a bunch of box feeding, scent tubes, scent wheel. Now we're here. We're still getting him to love the smell. You know, he's still getting rewarded for the smell. But now we're starting to add some visual, preparing him for the next step. This is how it looks. This is his very first session. He sees it. He's confused. He has no idea what we're doing. Hey. Yes. And you notice he kind of, I don't know if you can see that, he kind of wanted to stick his nose back in there. He's like, oh, I recognize that smell. Yes. And eventually, I'll ask him to hold his nose in there longer. But right now, like I said, very first session, keep it simple. Oh. Yes. And all this, like I said, you know, in all the other trainings, this is preparing him for when it's time to indicate, the hold, once he finds it, to stay with it. That's usually the hardest part at the end, is they go and find them, but get them to stay with it until you get to them. Yes. So if you have any questions about this, let me know. The whole idea is to get the dog to love the scent. That's all we're doing over the next month. You know, we ran through this pretty quick in this video, but the idea is get them to love that smell. Take some time with the box feeding. Take some time with their scent tubes, the scent wheel. Make it fun. Break it up. Make it challenging. Spend a few days on this. In our next video that we'll do next week, I'll go over the final steps of starting to get them to indicate on it. And it is January. There's snow on the ground here, so we're not going to do a lot of hunting outside. We do it inside where it's controlled. I'm going to go ahead and finish out this session with him. So we're ready for next week when it's time to start indicating.